Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, artist to artist conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. I'm really excited tonight to have this amazing guest, someone that I've known for a while, and we've been um, we've been inspiring, each other in our various projects along the way, and I'm happy to have him on the show so we could talk about some of those projects and things that we've been, working on and inspiring each other through. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Anthony Nelson.
Thank you, Dion, for having me on.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Man, I am awesome. I'm fantastic. I'm enjoying life.
That's good. That's good. You in New Jersey? What's the temperature there?
It's much colder than St. Thomas. It's cold up here. We're expecting snow.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing that from all my friends. It's like, "Dear, it's snowing. It's coming. It's coming." So, well, man, we're down here bringing all the sunshine to you guys. We like, just in spirit and in thought. So, but it's good to see you, bro. It's been a minute.
It's been too long of a minute.
Yeah,
miss you.
Miss you too, man. Miss you too. But we've had a great relationship since we met. A couple years
Harlem.
ago. Yeah, and then Kenny Davis reintroduced us again. When I invited you to come down to the Virgin Islands to partake in our Artist in Residence program in partnership with the Department of Education, and you came down here for a couple of years, did an amazing job, man. And I can never thank you enough for what you did, man. Working with the students, helping them to get instruments, donating instruments to some of them. So thank you, bro, for your generosity and your words of encouragement to our students. So let's talk about Anthony Nelson. You're in the New York tri-state area doing your thing, made a name for yourself, playing with everybody. But let our audience know, how did you get into music? What triggered that spark in you?
It's one of those truly children-esque stories.
Mhm.
My uncle James was a gospel musician, and he used to arrange these amazing Christmas concerts with his gospel choir at Voorhees Chapel in Rutgers.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Voorhees Chapel. Okay.
Yeah, I knew you. I forgot. I thought about that just now. Hey, Dion knows Voorhees Chapel.
Yeah.
So he would do these amazing arrangements, and the finale was always "Joy to the World." And I would sit there and I would listen to this thing. And one day I tapped to my mother after always talking about other things, not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, I was like 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. And I just tapped my mother. I want to do what Uncle James does.
Okay.
And that's where it started. And I didn't think much of it, but I said, no, that's what I want to do. I want to do what Uncle James does. And next thing you know, I started singing classical music with the boys' choir. Talk about a blessed upbringing. Who has in all places of Plainfield, New Jersey, they put a boys' choir out of Grace Episcopal Church under David E. Lamb. He used to work with all these choirs in Europe, and now he's taking the job as the choir master of Grace Episcopal Church at the time. He wanted to start a boys' choir.
Mm-hmm.
It was in that boys' choir that I learned how to read music. He had us sight reading things like the Gabriel Fauré, Requiem, and the Mesbah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, so
how old were you at this time?
11.
Okay.
10 or 11. I mean, it's significant when you think about he had a group of African American children sight reading music and singing music on that you would normally only hear at the American Boys Choir, King's College, Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
It exposed us to a plethora of opportunities. And my grandfather uh, well, he was instrumental because everybody in my family did some sort of art,
Hmm.
be it culinary, be it singing. My sister, who's my older sister, who's no longer with us, Naomi, as good of an artist as I may be considered, she smoked me.
Okay.
She had way more talent. She just didn't get some of the opportunities I received.
Hmm.
My older sister is, oh man, she's amazing. I mean, she could sing. She could outsing me. And her penmanship. Oh, when it came time to draw, she was amazing. And so I came from that background, and I was playing. I'll start off with the little flutophone, little
Right,
plastic.
right, yeah.
Everybody gets those. And it came time to figure out what instruments we were going to start playing in the fourth grade. We were going to move from the flutophone to an official instrument. And I could not make up my mind. Matter of fact, I was the last person to make up my mind.
Okay.
And after the concert, after the last concert, in between the school concert and going to the evening show, I saw this girl drop a saxophone, and I felt bad for the instrument. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna play the saxophone."
Just like that, huh?
It was just like that, and I didn't know that whatever nudge I needed to get, that was the right decision.
Mhm.
That instrument, at the time we're thinking, no, man, men don't play flute and clarinet. Well, that's my bread and butter. But at the time, saxophone,
Right, right,
because a girl dropped one.
right.
And so that was a start for me. And I had Glenwood Collins, who was a a well-known jazz drummer on the scene, put the first saxophone in my hands. And he just
Okay.
kept on, yeah, he kept on pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and humbled me. And when I thought I was good, he said, "Yeah, you think you're good because you're in Plainfield and you're progressing faster than everyone else. Go to Newark, New Jersey."
Mhm.
And at the time, we still had Peppermint Lounge. We still
Peppermint
had
Lounge, yeah. I remember the Peppermint Lounge.
right. We still had Terminal D and LCs at the time.
Mhm.
So by the time I get to meet someone like Rodham Swartz, who used to take me up to the Peppermint Lounge, and then I meet James Stewart,
Mhm.
one of my main mentors, I found out how small Plainfield really was.
Mhm.
But it was the greatest experience of my life, being humbled and saying, oh, okay, there's another level. There's
Mhm.
another. And every time I thought, oh, right, I'm doing well. I kept having to find out, oh, no, there's yet another level.
Mhm.
There's another level. And so after a while, you start to say, no, I'm just here right now because there's another level.
Right.
And that was the greatest experience of my life.
Yeah, but you
Finding
had
out
some
that,
great mentors. Rodham Schwartz, I mean, he became the cat in New Jersey for the organ, doing that, and to
right.
be on the scene with him and James Stewart, I knew him. He would always come through. I was playing St. Nick's
Saxon.
Pub every Friday night with Bill Saxton when I was in town, and all the saxophone players came through there. James Carter. I mean, like everybody, man. That was the hang. But you on the scene hitting with the cats. That's good. That's great, man. So you came up doing that, and then you went to school. And where did you go to school?
Well, I had a long path to school because I thought I was going to do it like the old cats did. Like I
Hmm.
thought I was going to just hit the scene and just make jam sessions and get my craft together. Wrong. that got me, but so far, then I realized Bruce Williams, my big brother, Bruce Williams. You
Hmm.
know Bruce, same birthday, right?
Same birthday. Yep. Yes, sir.
Bruce, master saxophonist Bruce Williams said, no, you gotta go back to school. He said, so go to Washington, D.C. and study with Calvin Jones,
Hmm.
great trombonist and arranger. And now this is crazy. You think we always talk about all these huge universities. Imagine going to a school in Washington, D.C., where the gentleman that's running the program, his name's Calvin Jones. He was one of the first trombonists that Ray Charles hired. And he used to write arrangements with Ray Charles. And even to the time that he passed away, Ray Charles would sometimes bring him out on the road to conduct the band and write arrangements.
Right.
And whenever somebody came to town, that was the cat. They said, "Oh man, we don't have any arrangements." Alita Adams the manager would say, "Look, we need some arrangements." "All right, man, I got you. I got your arrangements." Mm-hmm. Within days, he would have a plethora of arrangements. And at the end, everybody's hugging him. And that's where guys like myself, Alan Johnson, the pianist and arranger, Alan Johnson, Aaron Graves, who was at one point was the foremost one of the foremost piano, vocal backers, pianists. He was the first called cat for a lot of vocalists.
Right. And what school was this at?
This was at the University of the District of Columbia.
University of District of Columbia. Yep.
It was a hidden treasure. Oh, not to mention, they had the great Judith Corey, who was making sure all of us were straight. She gave me my first piano lessons. Matter of fact, I got this from Bruce, but everybody literally called her Mother Corey. Yep. Because it was the only place in all of my years of going to any university where it was truly a family vibe. And that's what I needed.
Right.
And then on top of that, my saxophone teacher was Dr. Barton, Dr. Leroy Barton. And I remember his way of teaching is what I brought down to your students were down there were really being taught by him.
Okay.
He was a great inspiration. He taught Bruce, he taught James, myself, and several other saxophonists that we know of today. And he played lead alto on some of those Frank Foster Loud Minority albums. And and he would tell me all these stories about Romeo Penquay, the great oboist for all these records. But I mean, Romeo Penquay's on Oliver Nelson stuff. He's on all those Gil Evans recordings. He was the first call guy for playing oboe. And I remember one time I walked into his office and he had this picture of Harold Jones up on the wall. And if you're not hip to Harold Jones, he was a master flautist. And what was so special about him is that he was going to the flute conservatory as a brother, young black man walking onto the main elevator. And as Leroy Barton said to me, he said, "We knew he had to be special if he's carrying a flute and he's a brother and he's walking into this conservatory." And I walked into Dr. Barton's office and I looked up on his wall and I said, "Hey, is that Harold Jones?" And he looks at me and he falls back in his chair and he says, "In 25 years, you're the first person to ever put a name to that face." I said, "Well, I should have. I took lessons with him." At that point, Dr. Barton was such a profound educator that he extracted all of the finest points that I got from Harold Jones. He used them for himself, but then he gave them to his other students. And then not only did he use them for his other students, he reminded me of them when I was slipping.
Right.
I mean, I'm blessed to be around some profound educators and masters of their crafts. He's part of the reason, him and James Stewart are part of the reason that I have a career as a doubler, meaning that I play all those woodwind instruments that I have because they stayed on my case.
And I wanted to ask you about that because you're not just a saxophonist. I know you as a tenor saxophonist, but I know you do Broadway and you doubled. And when you came down to the Virgin Islands to work with the students, you brought multiple instruments and you taught all of them. You taught the flute players, the clarinet players, the oboists, and the reed players. So when did you make that decision to pursue that and kind of, you wanted to be proficient on all of those instruments?
You know how some people gravitate towards languages?
Mm-hmm.
And I gravitated, my other languages were my doubles, and it came from one lesson. James Stewart lived around the corner from me when I was growing up in Plainfield. And he said, yeah, if you want to work, you're going to have to get your doubles together. So get your flute and clarinet chops up. Yeah, if you want to work, yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. Well, don't tell me what to do and expect me not to do it.
I love it. I'm laughing, man, because not to change the subject, I just remember you coming on there with your bike and riding these hills, man. You said, don't tell me what to do and don't expect me not to do it. You're like, I'm bringing my bike. I'm like, bro, you coming to the ice like hills like this. And you came down here with your bike and was riding them hills every day, man. So I understand your determination. So
well,
you just saying that just brought back those memories, man. So forgive me. I didn't mean to change.
No. But those were some big hills.
Some very big hills. But I'm just saying that's the type of determination you have. You were on those hills every day, and then we'll go into school and teach all day, which is, yeah. So I appreciate you. I appreciate that.
I mean, so the difference between the way guys taught you then, when you were able to have a one-on-one relationship with them, being a young man, being a young lion, speaking to the masters of their crafts, which were not always household names in jazz. They were the cats on the scene that were able to just pour into you. Was that they would give you some information, not just on playing your instrument, but they were telling me how to feed my family that I didn't have yet.
Right.
They were telling me how to pay my rent and then a mortgage. They were telling me how to be substantial. Later on, it put me in a position where Patience Higgins, when I hit the scene in New York, I was one of the few young guys that he was saying, yeah, send him to do this.
Yeah.
Bill Easley, I was getting calls for things Bill Easley would normally do because Bill Easley wasn't available. Let's be clear here, because he wasn't available. But I would get those calls as a young guy way before I ever met Bill Easley, because I listened to my teachers that were telling me not just how to play the instruments, but how to make a living and feed my family.
Right. And I think that's important, because a lot of guys don't get that message. They go to college, they just focus on the instrument, they leave college, and then they just run from jam session to jam session. Like you say, you were going to do it like the old cats, just go hit the session, hit the scene, and make a living. And nobody, shares that information with them of how to build your career, because it's all part of it. It's all part of it. When I left Rutgers, there was a lot of things I knew, but there was a lot of things I didn't know. And the rent had to be paid, the electric bill had to be paid, the credit cards, the student loans, the car note, and you're looking like, okay, you're paying all of these $100 gigs every night, and it's just not adding up to. So you have to figure that out. And they gave you some great advice, bro. And I can see, I saw you in the classroom talking to the students, sharing that with them. So you took that information seriously. Like I said, I saw you riding those hills every morning. So I was like, this guy's got a whole nother thing going on.
I was 323 pounds not too long before I started teaching down there and taking those hills. And remember, that's all I wanted to talk about was bikes.
Right. That's all you would want to talk about, for real. And be going in them neighborhoods. I went in this neighborhood, man. I have to use your name to get out of it.
That's true. That is
pulled me over and was like, who are you?
That is true.
We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. I didn't forget that, though. I remember that night. He's like, dude, man, I messed up today. Oh man, but hey, life, bro, it's life, But you live and you learn. You didn't do that again.
I did not.
It's all good, man. It's all good. So let's focus back in the show. You gotta have fun, man. You gotta have fun.
Oh, oh
Oh
man.
man, that was some good times. That was some good
Yes,
times. So you got some great lessons from these cats. I'm with you. You got some great lessons from these guys, and you started sharing them. And you came out to the Virgin Islands. You did an amazing job in the schools with the kids. But now you're teaching. You have teaching opportunities. You've been doing some stuff in your neighborhood. You've been the minister of music at your church, and you have
yes.
some other opportunities going. I performed with you last summer there. Did a great presentation with a tap dancer and bass
Yeah,
player.
AC Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great, man. So you built, that you built that scene there, and these were conversations we were having here in the Virgin Islands. Like, how do you set things like that up, man? So tell us about the wonderful things that you're doing now that you accomplish in your neighborhood.
Well, we started Jazz in the Sanctuary under Dr. Gerald Lamont, the former pastor of the Shiloh Baptist Church, Dr. Gerald Lamont Thomas. And the whole goal was to bring this music to the community that created it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, yes, I love working in all the big clubs. Trust me. Don't think I don't want anyone to I don't want those clubs to think I don't want to still work there. But but sometimes it can be cost prohibitive to a certain group of people,
Mm-hmm.
and now, especially now, if you're trying to pay tolls to go into New York, pay for parking and pay for what have you, sometimes it's hard to gain access to the music. So Jazz in the Sanctuary was an opportunity to bring the music back to the communities that created it. Bring this music, and we have such a huge following. I've had to take a break from it, but we had people like Steve Teray came in, and he had Bruce and I, along with a few other people, do his project, which was focused on Rasan Roland Kirk.
Right.
We had Mark Gross come because I want them to hear the guys that were really out there,
Mm-hmm.
making this music, making the scene. Bill Saxton, oh, he came in, and we did. I did a whole series called "The Neighborhood Hang," and it was
Right.
about those clubs like the Saint Nick's Pub and Lennox Lounge, in
Mm-hmm.
those places where and Laffa Mills and
Mm-hmm.
Showman's, where you could go and get chin checked any night by one of the
Yep.
by one of the masters. And so we were very fortunate to bring uh, the jazz community to a Plainfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had it started to branch out where Dorothon Kirk obviously came, and she gave us some information that we needed to move everything forward. Um, and then it was just a matter of us getting grants, and the community really came to appreciate it.
Right.
I mean, Cecil Brooks III presented there. James Whiteman and
James Wyman, yeah.
he came in multiple times. We were working on his spiritual impressions project with Harvey S. and Victor Vince Sector and Ruth Naomi Floyd. Wow. Ruth Naomi Floyd, she's an amazing artist in and of herself that, wow, just is someone that more people need to know about. I don't think she's hurting, but more people need to know about her. Um, and so we were able to bring this music to the community. Then we were able to branch out and have youth presentations before the main artists, so they were able to sit. Greg Williams, excellent bassist, is also a phenomenal educator, and he happens to be in Plainfield teaching now.
Okay.
And so he would come. He put together a beautiful jazz program at PAS, Plainfield Academy for Arts and Advanced Studies, as well as at one point Plainfield High School. And he was giving these kids a first class education, doing like you, helping his kids get scholarships and find directions in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, he was instrumental in helping me carry myself better. So if you think I owe him a great thank you, because Greg Williams helped me get myself together as an educator and get my verbiage, improve my verbiage, which is something that's oftentimes taken for granted.
Right.
And so from there, the whole program became a destination. And I was very fortunate. Bruce Williams came in. So very fortunate to have a plethora of artists that most important part was I had artists that understood the vision.
Mm-hmm.
that looked at the music as being proliferating the music as being bigger than themselves.
Right.
Josh Evans, Kenny Davis, Freddie Hendrix. We had all those people come in there because
great folks. Yeah.
I mean, they saw the vision. They said, look, we got to keep this going because it keeps the music going.
Yeah. Yeah. And the strength in numbers, it's like all you need is that you have that place that you can present, you have the vision and the leader that you are, and folks will support it, and you see that you have the support, so
Yes.
Continue success with that, man. I was happy that you called me. I know we've been talking about doing different things for a while and me going back and forth from the islands, but I was happy that you called me to make that gig and for me to see it for myself. So yeah, man, because we were talking in the islands about different things and you're doing it.
That's the goal,
Yeah. So I'm glad you took my advice. I'll just throw that in there.
No. Hey, I tell you, I told you earlier when we were speaking beforehand. My last time visiting down there, you said to me, Anthony, go back and make Plainfield your island.
Yeah, make it your island, yeah, man. It's plant your roots, and it's like I had a teacher that Michael Carvin always used to say to me, man, it's like you go out every day and you toil the soil for someone else and come home and you plant your seeds and just cultivate. If you have a half an acre, just cultivate that. And in 5-6 years, you'll be able to reap the rewards from the trees that you've planted, but you got to nurture it. So that was the whole concept of making Plainfield your island. Plant your seeds and in years you'll see, you're a father, you know what it is. You know what it is to nurture and put the time in and see the results of it. So it's the same thing with the music. A lot of people don't see it that way because as an artist, we're focused on developing ourselves, and it's hard to stop, or not even, I shouldn't say stop. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's hard to share off of the bandstand, because when you're in the bandstand, you can share with someone, your colleague of equal proficiency, and be more creative, and it's stimulating for everyone. That's what we do. We get up there, like you said, every time you get to the next level, you realize that there's another level, and you live for that challenge. You live for that euphoric feeling. It's hard as an artist to breed and take the time to nurture and mentor. It's really hard. That's why they say not every performer can teach. Not every teacher can perform. The educator is someone that have the desire to perform, but see the need to mentor and nurture, and they focus on that. Folks like you and Kenny Davis and Freddie Hendrix and the Mark Rose, all the names you mentioned that are out here as performers, but still are educators running programs and doing things like that. That's a rare talent. That's a rare combination. And it's, that's why I applaud you. That's why I was pushing you to like, hey, go do that, because what you're teaching the kids is not the classroom environment. You've seen them on Broadway as well. You've seen them replacing you. That's the other thing. A lot of people have this mentality that they're going to be replaced, and they see that as a bad thing, versus preparing the next generation to be more proficient, so they don't replace us. They elevate us to the next level. That's the message that I'm trying to present. And that's what I see you doing. And a lot of people miss that. Folks say, well, man, I'm going to be here until you can't be here till the end. I mean, you can, but the next generation will come. And if you work with them and bridge that gap, then there's rewards for everyone.
Well, it's funny. There's two things that just came to mind. I used to spend a lot of time around Charlie Parson. Great drummer. And, no one's played on more albums than Charlie Parson that I could think of. And, he's on soundtracks that we didn't even realize we were listening to. And he would tell me these stories about how he carried his career. And he would write. I watched him put together a big band that was started because he was playing too wild in Frank Foster's big band. Frank Foster said, "Man, you playing like that? You need to go get your own band," because he said he was hanging out with Elvin. So what did Frank Foster do? Frank Foster said, "Man, you're fired. Go start your own big band," and gave him the first 5 or 6 charts that he needed to start that big band.
Okay. Was that the Loud Minority big band? That
was the Loud Minority. There's a album cover where you see Charlie Parson on the cover, because that's how wonderful Foss was. He had the whole band on the album cover. And but then what does Charlie Parson do? He starts his big band, and he has people like Craig Rivers. He has his sax section was his trumpet section was Jack Walraff at times. It was Sherman Irby at one point. Bill Saxton, Bruce Williams. So now he turns around, and all the young cats coming up, he has a big band where we didn't always have an opportunity to go sit down and read. They created a place where we could go sit down and read. I got my eyes together. Even though I worked with the Ellington Orchestra and Count Basie Orchestra, I got my eyes together by Charlie Parson not believing in tempo de lerno.
Right. Right out the gate. Yep.
He took everything at 3. If it was fast, that meant 300 and counting.
And he could play fast. Yes, sir.
And so, that was that spirit of mentorship. And even today in my class, I tell my students, and I said this to the students down there in St. Thomas and St. Croix, I said, listen, you think I came down here just to teach you. You will teach me more than I will ever teach you. And I promise you, Sherwin says some stuff to me. I said, what did you just say? Wait, say that again. Sherwin Williams, one of your prodigies. He said something. He said something to me about a month ago that I had to look at him. I said, wait, say that again. Oh, wow, I didn't think about it like that.
He's doing good. He's doing really good. Yeah.
One of my students today broke down. We were talking about we're dissecting Marvin Gaye's album, What's Going On. And we're literally looking at what was happening over a 10-year period before the song What's Going On came out. And as they open up things, they said some things to me I thought I knew. They're doing research, and then they're comparing it to what they're going through, the politics, the way they were. We were in Vietnam War, and now they're breaking down things, and they pulled up some points that I didn't think about. Now I said, "Oh, See, this is what I told, and I had to point out. I said, this is what I told you. You were going to point out things to me that I didn't think of. And they said, oh, you actually meant that, Mr. Nelson? I said, yeah.
It can go both ways, man. Go
Right.
both ways. But yeah, man. But man, our time, I told you, hour goes fast. So
Yes, it does.
We got to get to some music, bro, because you shared a lot of information, beautiful story about your upbringing and the collaboration we've done. Thank you for sharing that. But I want to get to some of the music so our audience can hear your sound, like, you know, your story behind your horn. So let's check this out. The first song you shared with us is 2 by 2, and we're gonna play it, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. So let's check out 2 by 2, Anthony Nelson. That's 2x2. Anthony Nelson. Was that live at Cecil's?
That was live at Cecil's.
Nice.
That treasure trove that we all miss right now.
Yeah, man, that was a great club.
Mm-hmm.
Great club. So who's the personnel on this particular track?
On this particular track, that's my man Freddie Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
On trumpet. That's Alan Johnson from Washington, D.C. on piano. That's Matthew Parrish on bass.
Matthew Parrish. Wow, I went to school with. He was a Rutgers when I left. He had just gotten there. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And,
he's in Philly now, right?
Yeah, he's in Yardley, but yeah, he's basically in Philly.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I had to message. That's Tyshawn Sorey on drums.
Yeah, Tyshawn. Wow.
And, matter of fact, the truth is, I had that song. I wrote it. I brought it into a gig that Tyshawn and I had up at this spot called the Sugar Hill Bistro in Harlem years ago. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Hey, Tyshawn, could you rewrite this? Because he has this beautiful penmanship. He's a great writer, and but his penmanship when it's time to write something out is remarkable." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Hey, could you put an ending on it?"
Drum solo.
Well, actually, what he did was he put the last two measures on it. He said, "That's Tyshawn."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and then his brain is going somewhere else, and so that's Tyshawn. And when it came time to produce it, Cecil said, "No, you got to have Tyshawn play at the ending of this. We got to unleash Tyshawn."
It's a great recording, man. Your fans love it, man. Who's the cat on keys? That's you said that's Alan Johnson. Yeah,
that's Alan Johnson. Now he was both him and Bruce Williams, Alan Johnson, myself, Mark Carey, Aaron Graves. All those cats studied under Calvin Jones in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And so I was no longer a student at UDC, but I was going back and forth to work at Twins Jazz. And Alan would always make those gigs with me. I said, "Man, can you come up and do this album with me?" And he came up and he blistered. He was just brilliant on every single song. Very humble and, just a brilliant individual.
That's great music, bro. Great music. Thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for sharing that. We're going to continue with the second song you shared with us. This is called Silly. Let's check it out. Silly. That was Silly by Anthony Nelson. Now, my question for you, Anthony, is how did you come up with that name for such a beautiful song?
I'm sorry. Wow, that one kind of got me. I haven't listened to that in a long time. Silly. My grandfather and my grandmother, I grew up living in their house with my mother. And so the example of love that I got to see every day was my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandfather's nickname for Charles Doyle's nickname for his wife, Sylvia Doyle, was Silly.
Okay.
And so I was picturing them having a slow dance.
Mhm.
So there's them slow dancing, and those pauses is him dipping her
Okay.
and bringing
I
her
know
back
there was
up
something
slowly.
behind that. I know there's something behind that. With you, got to be something.
Yeah. And I mean, I will not lie to you. When I hear that song, I think about their love and what the example that they gave to me
Mhm.
of partnership and working together. And once I asked my grandmother, I said, Dad, did Grandpa used to spoil you? She said, we spoiled each other.
There you go.
And so you actually hear, the funny thing is that when you were listening to Tenor for Two,
Mhm.
you hear her voice. You hear her voice, and a bunch of other people that I love very much that might, some of them may, be older and they're no longer with us. But I listen to that album and I hear their voices in the audience
Okay.
commenting, and she was one of those voices. So yeah, it's those are my little personal mementos to myself. I know everybody else wanted to hear the music, but for me, I'm like, oh.
Well, you gotta have them. You gotta have them. We get inspiration in different places. I know there was a story behind it. It's such a beautiful song. That's what it's like. Yeah, beautiful, man. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. We're going to continue with another one of your masterpieces. Blessed are those that mourn. Let's check this one out.
I
Blessed
thought you were doing
Oh yeah, sorry.
Consider
Yep,
It All
yep, yep.
Joy.
Yeah. We actually consider it all joy. Consider it all joy. You're right. Thanks for the correction. We Yes. Thank you, bro. Consider it all joy. Love the differences between your songs. This one sounds like pop jazz. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Great jazz. Love the edginess and the soulful rhythms. All right. Folks are checking out the music. Smooth. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Bedtime jazz, so dreamy. It's beautiful stuff. Yeah, man. Great. Your penmanship is so unique because you play, you write, like they say, this is different kind of vibes that you're presenting. So which tells just I call it a sound story. When I listen to music, it's like a sound story you're listening to. So it's really nice, man, and beautiful, warm music. Who's on that recording? Consider it all joy.
Well, that's Brandon McCune on piano.
Okay.
That's Kenny Davis on bass, Chris Beck on drums, and of course that great Josh Evans on trumpet, and myself on soprano.
Nice.
Other selections has Bruce Williams on alto. This was a really fun date. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, you got some great cats, man. Well, it's good to see all the Jersey cats, doing their thing, man. It's some great guys that's left the city and just kind of settle up in New Jersey doing their thing, which is really nice. Nice collaboration. Yeah. Nice collaboration of folks, man. I'm enjoying the music. Well, we're gonna round this up, bro, because our time is almost up, man. But you have one more song that you shared with us that is, I had to kind of request this one. This is Canadian Sunset, man. I love this. Yeah.
But this one is significant because that whole album, Swinging Sunset, is really a dedication to those organ trios.
Right.
And so in the liner notes, I talk about Bill Saxton's organ trio that he had up at St. Nick's.
Yeah, with Bobby Forrester.
Right. Oh my goodness. Bobby Forrester.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know Canadian Sunset the way I do is because besides the fact that Rodham said learn this too, I learned, but Tommy Grice, Gigi Grice's brother and great tenor saxophonist, and he's the cat that taught all those cats that came out of Trenton and some of the ones in Philly. He said to me, whenever I would go to sit in with him and Pat Tandy, he would say, "Man, play Canadian Sunset for me. I never heard a young cat play Canadian Sunset like that." And so that was really an homage to him. And that's just ended up being Kyle Kohler, Cecil Brooks III, and I paying homage to all those great organ trios. Especially, people forget that Newark was an organ town, baby. We were an organ town.
Yeah. I mean, that was the sound. All of those joints had an organ, a house organ in it, and it's it's just a sound, man. But it wasn't only in jazz. Organ was part of the, that whole Motown sound, the R&B, even in the Caribbean reggae. The first time I remember outside of church, if you go listen to all of the Bob Marley albums,
that's true.
We call it the bubble, whack, 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 and that's the organ, that Hammond B3. That's the sound. That's how prominent that sound is across the musical genre. So when I got to Harlem, and I ended up doing that gig with Bill, that's a whole nother story behind it. It was such a joy, man, playing with Bobby Forrester every night, man. That cat was like, yeah. So when I heard this, I was like, you gotta play this one. Brought back so many memories, man. So thanks for sharing. Let's check out Canadian Sunset. Man, the organ sound, bro. That's like the showman, like you said, man. That's a sound that you could just connect to different spots in Harlem, in the city, and in Newark, and in Jersey. Yeah, yeah. They need more organ joints. That's all I'll say.
That was my whole upbringing.
Yeah.
That was my upbringing, and I miss it.
Yeah, man. It's I hear you. It's a beautiful sound, bro. It's a beautiful sound. Thanks for sharing. Like I said, when I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, we got to go with this. Yep. Yep. And a great trio, man. Kyle and CB the third. Yeah. Thank you, man. It's it's a pleasure having you on the show. We have great conversations. You're a brother to me that I just enjoy talking with you because I learn as well, and the stuff that I see you doing this, I'm really happy, man. I'm really happy you're getting it done.
I appreciate you because you were always a guiding light. Some people could say do this, but then the people that say do this, that's actually done it, you listen to them even more closely.
I hear you. So, and we're still doing it. So, there's more work to be done, and we're gonna keep doing it, man. But our time for this moment is up. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, bro. You have no idea, man, and it's great seeing you as well.
Likewise.
So great, man. All those hills. I got my Cannondale, man. You hooked me up with my Cannondale. I was riding for a while, but the time frame. So I gotta get back to that. We'll figure it out. I gotta put a better plan in place for my Canon deal. But you've been an inspiration on that level with me, so I appreciate it, man. But it's a pleasure having you on the show. Before you leave, let our audience know how they can follow you. Any Instagram, website, just share with them.
So my Instagram, my main page is Anthony E. Nelson. You know what? That's funny. I actually have to look at it. There's a time, but you just know all this stuff off the top of your head. I'm not that good at it now. Oh, it's Anthony Nelson Jr. official. That's my Instagram. Anthony Nelson Jr. official. That's on Instagram. You could also find me at anthonynelsonjazz.com. That's my website. And it has all those dates up there because I also work with the Sun Ra Orchestra, which is a whole other thing. That's what I play baritone sax with them and clarinet. So I get to hang out with Marshall Allen. So there's a whole bunch of things coming up with them all over the place. Yeah, that's the best. Those are two ways you could definitely find me. And of course, I would very much so love it if everyone subscribe to my Spotify and my YouTube page, Anthony E. Nelson Jr.
I hear you, bro.
Hey, man.
Man, you got to put that plug in. So
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man. So, bro, it's been a pleasure and an honor having you on the show. Hopefully, the audience will go and check you out. Check out your YouTube, Spotify, follow you on Instagram, check out the website, purchase the CDs, the recordings.
Please.
Yep. So, man, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your story, your beautiful story, and your wonderful music, man. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Look forward to the next time.
Yes, sir,
Peace
man.
and be blessed, everybody.
Yes. Thank you. That was a great Anthony Nelson sharing his story, his music, and some funny jokes that we've had over the years together, man. I really enjoy hanging out with this guy, man. It's an inspiration. So thank him for being on the show. And next week we have another amazing musician. He's doing the Louis Armstrong show right now on Broadway, but he's going to come and join us. Mr. Jeffrey Miller, trombone, will be our guest for next week. So come on back, Sounds of the Diaspora. We look forward to having you on the show, checking us out. All right, take care. Have a blessed evening. Good night.